Good evening, everyone. Some of you may have seen what this topic's about already because I put a post on this morning. This is actually a prime example of what happens when you go to the gym first thing in the morning and you get in state. It's almost like when you go out for a night out and you get drunk and everything seems like a good idea, and then the next day you're thinking to yourself, why did I do that? And you start to cringe at some of the things you've done in your head. Well, this is probably what this topic's going to turn into tonight for me, to be fair. I was at the gym, I'd done my 9K on the bike, and I was starting to get into the row machine, and I started to feel sort of quite good, really, sort of really confident, and got myself in state. And I came up with this idea that seemed like it would be a good idea at the time, would be to share my story of how, typically my Tinder days, and actually how they relate to doing what I'm doing now. Now, one thing I will say is that, I am not a massive fan of a lot of this personal development stuff, which is about find your passion. Hey, it's a few people just joining me now, guys. Thanks for joining me. Hi, Christine. Hi, Sheila. In this video, what I'm talking about is how I was on Tinder, and that was sort of 4 years ago now. And this is not going to be quite what a lot of people think. I think some people, I think some people are going to be thinking this is going to be a little bit sordid and embarrassing. I don't think it'd be embarrassing, but I think it'd be quite entertaining. So what I'll do is I'll get straight into this. I'm going to start from the beginning, really. And I think this is actually, sometimes I think to myself, I've got to share these really, like trying to share these powerful strategies and, make everything so simple. But really I thought, tonight just have a little bit of fun and actually just share a bit of my background story. Because I think, the easiest way for me to get you to relate to things in your life is for me to talk about them in mine. So I'll get cracking. So for me, what happened was I've always, in any relationship I've had, there've always been people I've actually known. So I was very reluctant when my relationship ended sort of 4 years ago with my fiance that I got a little girl with. I was really reluctant to go on this Tinder app because it was literally, talk about something that's, putting yourself out there is just based on your looks. Now, I wouldn't say I have that many issues now over the way I look, but I think for many years I used to think, the only way I was really going to sort of get a girlfriend was people that got to know me. I always felt like, for me, rightly or wrongly, that it was actually my personality that was a strong point. But anyway, the relationship ended. 4 or 5 months had gone by. My brother said to me, get yourself on Tinder. And I was like, I aren't going on Tinder. It's based on looks, never been my strong point. And, I used to go out around town and, go out, and I'd have friends that are better looking than me, and they used to do so much better. And I think really, looking back now, part of that was a confidence thing on my part. But if someone's better looking than you, they're better looking out there, and you can't really compete with that. Especially when it's, sort of inwardly. So anyway, brother says, get yourself on Tinder. So one night I thought to myself, go on, I'll do it. Evangeline was at her mum's, and I thought, just give it a go. So I tried to find the best picture of me, and, I am not one for sort of putting filters on things. I don't even know how to do it half the time. I could probably change the image or something a little bit with the shading or what have you on the iPhone, but that's about it. So 4 years ago, no intentions of sort of doing filters or anything like that. So I just tried to find a nice picture of me, put it on. Didn't really know what I was going to get, and I thought I'm just opening myself up here for even worse, to be fair. Just want to sort of say thanks. Hi Jamie, thanks for joining, mate, and Dave, thanks for you guys joining in. So anyway, yes, I sort of joined on the app, and then the following morning woke up and I'd actually got a match. Now, not only did I have a match, but this girl, she was stunning, to be fair. And I thought, Jesus, this is pretty good. And obviously Tinder, completely based on looks, no chance of personality to shine through. I don't think I had a great long description if I had anything. I think it was just a picture of me. This girl was really good looking, so I rung my brother up and I said, I've actually got a match. I was so pleased. So anyway, I got talking to her. And that's where I was always better. I was always talking. Whenever I met a girl, I was much better at actually talking to people and getting to know them and sort of building relationships from that way, as opposed to, just going straight up to somebody that you don't really know, got chatting to them, that sort of stuff, especially without any sort of alcohol in me. So anyway, I actually I matched with this girl, and we were having some really good conversation during the day, had a really good laugh. And I just happened, because I was new to Tinder, I was just happen to just click on her profile, and she had quite a bit of a description on there about who she was. But one of the things she said on it was, small guys need not apply because I'm 6'2", and then in brackets, this is not a joke. And I'm thinking, oh, and she was getting to the point where she was saying, oh, I'd quite like to meet you. And so when I read that, I was thinking, oh God, she's really, really nice looking. And I've had a thing for tall girls in the past. I've been out with a few girls quite a bit taller than me, but 6'2" was another league for me. I think I'm just under 5'8". So I thought, I'm gonna have to tell her, because we were getting on so well, but I'm gonna have to tell her that I'm gonna have to bring a telephone book or something if I'm gonna meet up with her. So I told her, and it just killed it. She just basically said, look, you seem like a really nice guy, but you're just too small for me. So basically, all my thoughts around Tinder, in terms of putting yourself out there, not particularly that confident about the way I look, they all came true, to be fair, because actually I didn't think it was my height that was going to sort of be an issue. I thought it'd be more to do with the way I actually look, my face. But actually, it turned out to be my height, because I matched with someone that was 6'2", so sort of 6-7 inches taller than me. So that was my first episode on Tinder. But I'll be honest with you, coming back to what this whole point of this video was about, and what gave me the idea this morning was, how did I go from sort of swiping left and right on Tinder to actually doing what I do now? Which, if this is the first time you've seen one of my videos, my mission is literally, and it's big, I'm not afraid to admit it, and I know other people have got big dreams and they're going for it, and they're making progress every day, and I'm happy to join them with that. But my mission is literally to help hundreds of thousands of people over the next 10 years, and obviously continue to do that. But that is my first big goal, that I'm sort of slowly working on every single day. And sometimes it's a bit overwhelming, I won't deny. Sometimes I think to myself, geez, I'm nowhere near I need to be to make the biggest impact. But the reason I do it is just because I spent 17 years in a career. I also had a business, worked really hard, and I had no idea there was another way. I always knew I was destined for more. I knew there was something more in me, that I was capable of more. I've always been really self-reliant. I've always been self-sufficient and managed to work anything out for myself. So I progressed really well in my career, but I never actually managed to sort of work out what is it I really wanted to do. So that's why I do what I do now. So I won't waffle on too much about that. So back to this Tinder. Well, anyway, I wasn't that bothered about this. It was nice chatting to this girl, and it was good. It started to sort of get my confidence up a little bit, apart from being knocked down because I was a foot too small. But I started to. So I've got a few comments here. Let's have a look at this. You need to edit your profile. So I'm not on it anymore, by the way, Sheila. But yeah, good point. I would get into trouble if I was on it now. But yeah, so so. Anyway, so I thought to myself, well, I wasn't actually that bothered about meeting her anyway, to be fair. That wasn't why I really went on there, which I know sounds ridiculous. But anyway, I started to match with more girls. And it got to the point where, sort of, a couple of weeks down the line, I was doing quite well. Now, I actually had no intention of meeting these people. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but if ever you've been... had times in your life where actually your confidence is lacking a little bit. Hi Gemma, thanks for joining. Where your confidence is lacking a little bit. So just to get that little bit of a boost. So for me on Tinder, people matching with me, that was a good boost. But I say I didn't really, I'd had 7.5 years of for me, it was a great relationship. I didn't realise I wasn't doing that well, sort of working all the time. But for me, it was a good relationship, a little bit oblivious to what was really going on. And so for me, I was just a bit of companionship, really. But what I realised I was starting to do was, which got me to where I am today, which it's only just sort of looking back now. I use this quote all the time where Steve Jobs says, you cannot join the dots looking forward, but you can looking back. And actually it's quite fun because I'm always trying to join the dots looking forward. I might not always get them right, but I'm always looking at how I can join them in some way or another. So anyway, so I'm on Tinder and doing really well. And every time I match with somebody, I manage to get a really good conversation going. And I'd often get comments like, you're not like most guys. I wasn't sending them pictures of genitalia or anything like that. Still surprised that people did that, to be fair. I don't know. Maybe it works for you if ever you've been on there, but I can't personally see that being a particularly attractive trait. Both ways, to be fair. But anyway, that's, I don't fully understand the Tinder app. I was going on there to make friends as opposed to actually meeting people. So I've got it all wrong. But I was doing quite well in terms of, if you gauge my success on Tinder on how well I actually engaged with other people and actually got chatting with girls, I was doing quite well. And sometimes I'd have about 10 or 15, but I never really advanced to sort of really meeting. I did meet a few and went out for some meals and stuff like that. But the biggest thing I started to do, and it was something I actually really enjoyed doing, was I was able to connect with these people in a way that probably, in some respect, they were on there as well. because by the time I was on it, I was 35, so it wasn't like a sort of 20-year-old being on there. I was connecting with people that probably a little bit like me had got to that phase in their life where they've probably had a relationship, a long-term relationship, maybe they've even got kids or whatever like me, and things hadn't gone to plan. And the only thing is that, just like me, probably their self-confidence was lacking. So I was helping them by giving them little hints and tips. They sometimes talk about the days, and I would naturally, and I try not to do this anymore, but maybe that's what I do by default, is fix the issues, which I know is wrong. And when I went to Australia a few years ago, I got chatting to a couple of girls in a coffee shop, and within 2 minutes they went, "You're a fixer. You're a fixer." And I'd not heard that expression before, and it made me take a step back and think to myself, that's probably not a good idea. And it started to make me realise, by looking back, that actually all my life, all I've ever wanted to do is help people. Now, to a lot of people that know me, and anybody that's maybe watching this now would probably, who don't know me that well in some respect, but they know of me, and even family actually, because they know me from a little bit of a distance, sort of not so close family. But deep down, I've always wanted to help people. But my desire to help people is not necessarily from a charity point of view or stuff like that. It's been trying to get the best out of people. I think I always knew what I was capable of, and I think that our potential grows all the time. I don't think we ever hit a point where we actually reach a level of potential where we stay at that. I think every single new level of growth we hit a new one. But I'd always see things in other people, and that dated right back to when I was in my 20s. I had a girlfriend, she didn't drive. I paid for driving lessons for birthday. She didn't really want to do it. She didn't want to drive. And then when it got to another birthday, I said, "Do you want to pay for the driving lessons? You'll love it." Because you maybe have experienced, whenever you've actually enjoyed something, you've learnt something, and you just want to share it with the world, don't you? That's why I'm so passionate about doing what I'm doing now, is because I've learnt all this stuff. I've learnt that we don't have to settle, that it's okay to want more out of life, and I've learnt the shortcut of how to actually get that. Most of the time, a lot of personal development seminars, business seminars. You don't have to spend all the money that I did. There's a shortcut, which in fact I'm just finishing my book off over the next couple of days. That's going to be launched. That's going to be a free ebook that's a lot shorter than the other one. So anybody that's interested in that can consume that quite quickly. But I've always liked helping people. But it has always been of how to help them get the best out of where they are right now. Because, and we can all do this, I'm sure we all do this, we see other people in certain circumstances, and this is a Les Brown quote, which is, "We cannot see the picture when we're in the frame." And I've always been able to we've always been able to seen what other people are doing, just like people can see with me. I think people years ago probably would have seen my life completely manic. Some people might have thought, "Oh, he's got it sussed, he's got a couple of houses, got a job, good job, he's got a business." But they didn't really know what was going on. So they would have been able to see that, but maybe not see as closely, and I certainly couldn't. That's why I sort of messed up. So being on Tinder, I was doing this all the time, and sometimes I'd have the same type of conversation with 10 to 12 girls over the space of 24 hours. They'd almost be the same problems occurring with them, thoughts about the way they felt, and I was able to help them all the time. And occasionally it backfired, and this was quite amusing, because my sister said to me, she said, "I know you're helping these girls, like in some respect, and you enjoy that, and I think I've always had the ability probably to connect with women a bit better than guys. I'm not a typical masculine type guy, but so I've always managed to connect with women on a bit of a deeper level. But one thing I probably was missing was that some of them did want to meet, some of them were on there because they wanted a relationship or whatever, but I was never really doing anything. So what happened was, occasionally I was actually making them feel worse over the long term, because at first I'm thinking, "Oh, this guy's really nice, he understands me." Sometimes you seem to understand me better than I understand myself. But again, that's not, just cannot see the picture when we're in the frame. And so I realised, I was like, this probably isn't the best environment for me to be helping people in some respect, because although they might be helping them with their self-esteem initially, and make them feel good about themselves, I wasn't doing it on purpose. I was just saying what the truth was. I was then sometimes probably making them feel worse. But what I realised was that, God, I love helping people. And this was 4 years ago. This was way before I discovered what I enjoy doing now. And as I said at the beginning of this video, I am not about discovering your ultimate life's passion. Find your passion, find your purpose, discover your why. I think it's all, I really want to swear, but I won't. But I think a lot of it is BS, basically. We all know our why. if we discovered our passion, if we knew what our purpose was, you know, by default, that means that there are things that you cannot not do, which is where I'm at now, and I'm so grateful, you know, age 37, I think, you know, when I finally found it. I'm all about actually discovering passion and purpose in a lot more things. You know, what are the experiences you enjoy? How could you enjoy every day of your life? And then look for the opportunities to create that. And if you're lucky enough to one day stumble on what your passion and purpose is, and there's plenty of things you can do that, but it only comes through trying different things, then great. But yeah, 4 years ago, so I'm on Tinder, and one of the things I did, probably one of the greatest lengths I went to, which is ridiculous, and some of you, I hope, will laugh, to be fair, because I've always been one to try and... you weren't taking it further. One of the things I went on a couple of dates and what have you, but that was about it. But one of the things I did do was... hi guys, thanks for joining. Hi Evelyn. There was one girl I matched with, and she was about 70, 80 miles away. Got on really well. She was quite forward, quite confident. She had her own business, but she had also had a full-time job. So she was doing this business on the side, sort of on the weekends. It was like she was into health and beauty. She was setting up her own shop. But the business she worked for, the company, was a big company. It was a mortgage company. And they wanted to take her off her 40-hour contract. They literally wanted to get rid of her, really. They wanted to get on her 0 hours, but the plan was to actually drive her out because she had her own business and they knew that. And she told me about this problem. And if anyone's ever known me and they actually have asked me for the help, they'll know that I'll do anything I can to help them. And one of the things I love doing is I'm very factual, I'm very analytical. If someone's been unjust, if somebody's done something where they've ripped somebody off, that's my thing. I absolutely love that kind of thing. I will do anything I can to help anybody that's been trying to be taken for a ride, which actually is where a lot of my energy nowadays with what I'm doing is to help people to discover, design and create their ultimate future without spending an absolute fortune, because it's not necessary and it's not fair, and it's not a luxury to live an amazing life. It should be our right. And just because we haven't figured out a winning life yet doesn't mean that we don't deserve to. So I think a lot of my energy is surrounding that. But, you know, you sometimes might be lacking in energy, but I bet when someone calls on you and they're absolutely desperate for your help, you're in there straight away. You know, it's just something you cannot not do. So this girl was telling me about this, and I'd always been into law. You know, a lot of my career was 17 years. A good percentage of that was sort of contract law. Just love that kind of stuff. Diving into things, finding out what the facts are, and then putting a really good case together. And in my time, I never lost anything, to be fair. Even driving offences I've had for doing over 100 miles an hour, I managed to get off them because I always managed to look for legal ways to get myself out of that situation. But I've definitely got a lot more energy when it's for other people. So I actually put a case together for this girl. I researched it. This is a girl I met on Tinder. I know it's absolutely ridiculous that somebody would do this. And I put a case together to help her. So we put this case together. I sort of did it all remotely. I'd never even met her. Put some letters together. She went for some interviews with the information I gave her. I sort of briefed on what she needed to do, and she won. It ended up in a bit of an employment tribunal, but she won that. And as a result, we ended up meeting her. We went for dinner one night, and that was pretty much it. It was about a sort of 70, 80 mile drive to go meet her, but I just quite enjoyed helping people. So that was 4 years ago. Now, it was only 2 years ago when I started actually doing what I'm doing now. It was only sort of 3 years ago when I became obsessed with it, but it was really only 2 years ago that I actually managed to start making a bit of a difference. But what I found was that when I look back over my life now, and even when I had the supplement shop, people would come in for hours, and I would spend an hour and a half talking to people, and sometimes they'd leave the shop and they'd go and buy whatever I was, giving them advice on, because I wasn't really a seller. I'm not very good at selling in some respect. If people, I don't know, it's just something that I, not particularly good at. I like to give people advice that can make an informed decision. And quite often, people would go and they'd probably spend, go and buy whatever I'd been talking to them for about an hour and a half in my shop from another shop, and they'd come back and tell me, I've just got it a quid cheaper. I've just managed to buy it £1 cheaper, but thanks very much for your advice. And somebody would say to me, why do you do that? You're actually losing money because you are, you're giving them all this advice. I'd give them meal plans, training plans. They'd message me on Facebook. I'd be messaging people at 11 o'clock at night. Just anything I could do to help them. And, probably not a great salesman, to be fair. But I enjoyed helping people. And at the end of the day, I used to think to myself, sometimes we'd do good money on a day. You know, sometimes we had some good customers as well. Do you know what I mean? We had, but you're always going to get people that, you know, want to get things as cheap as they possibly can and don't value the free advice. You know, it's a sad fact. Sometimes we just don't value free. You know, people. You can give somebody all the free tools in the world, but you charge them for something, they'll probably do something with it because then they value it because they've actually paid something for it. But at the end of the day, on those days I was at the shop, I'd come away feeling so good that I'd helped people. And when you get that feedback, and it certainly was a massive part of the you know, the business, but over the long term, it just wasn't sustainable, and the internet and everything. But what I realised looking back now, and it was only this morning when I was on the rowing machine, and I thought, there's a massive connection between my time on Tinder and what I actually do now, becoming a life architect, helping people discover, design and create their ultimate future and escape any circumstances faster than they ever imagined possible. And I thought this would probably be quite a good topic for Facebook Live. So that is how me being on Tinder over time helped me to develop and actually discover what my passion was. And, you know, hopefully you guys have enjoyed, if you've been listening to this right at the beginning, have actually enjoyed this story. But really what I want to leave you with is that whatever you're doing right now, sometimes we cannot imagine that where we are right now is actually going to help us in any way. We can't actually imagine where it is that, you know, what we're doing now is going to take us. I don't even know what I'm doing right now, where that's going to lead to. But one thing I have known is I've got that confidence and certainty, know that what I'm doing now is something I absolutely love doing. It doesn't feel like work. Sometimes it's a little bit hard work because it's just feels a bit frustrating. You know, it's just constantly trying to remind myself of the patience. But it's that whatever you're doing right now is just look back, you know, and if anybody's watching this that actually would like to thoughts, you know, sometimes I think I am lacking a bit in passion. You know, I do go to work every day and I do what I do, you know, and it might be a business, it might be a career, you might not even be working. And I think a lot of times the personal development industry will, in some respect, this is just my perception, so it's not to offend anybody, because I know that I've got a lot of friends on here that are into coaching, that are coaches themselves, and helping people on a massive scale, which is why they're friends with me on Facebook, and it's great because we all get inspiration off each other and learn from each other. But quite often, you know, passion and purpose is put into isolation, and we tend to think to ourselves that, you know, that is the be all and end all in life. And if we can one day, it's almost like the end goal, if we can find our passion and purpose, then that is it. We'll hit the jackpot, and instantly we'll start taking action, and we'll start to actually do the things that we love doing. And my thing I want to say to anybody at all, my ultimate mission is to let you know that even if you're in a job, even if you're in a relationship that you probably you know, it's a bit less than the desirable, let's say, you know, it might be a little bit difficult at times. Sorry, just a bit of it. I'm just going to read this now. You know, there's well, what I'm doing. Thanks, Alex. And I think this is more amusing for me than you guys watching this, but just seeing these comments and what have you. Thanks, guys. Is that yeah? Is whatever you're doing. Sometimes we tend to feel that trying to find our passion and purpose is what we need to do, and therefore, until we find that, we will just keep plodding along or settling with where we are right now. And what I want to say to you is that, you know, I started doing what I'm doing now before I left my job. You know, so if you're in a career, if you're in a business, if you're not even working, but you sometimes feel like you just want a little bit more, don't feel guilty for that, for starters. You know, don't feel guilty. We are designed to make progress. Progress equals happiness. That's not my quote, that's Tony Robbins. But it's so true, whenever we're making progress. But what I say to you is, instead of saying to yourselves, when I find my passion and purpose, then I'll start doing something. Start to actually look at whatever it is you're doing outside your vehicle at the moment. Like I say, if you've got a business and it's your vehicle for making money, it's putting a roof over your head. Instead of saying to yourself, oh my God, it's just draining. It could be a career. It's draining the life out of me. I can't stand it. Instead of actually looking at that and saying to yourselves, well, if I could find my passion and purpose, then life will be different. It won't. If you don't actually discover what it is you actually would do in your spare time, and more importantly, what you would do if you had more time, because you've got spare time now that you probably don't call spare time. It's probably what you use, you know, for downtime, relaxing, stuff like that, which is good. You need the downtime. But a lot of us aren't fully aware where we're spending our time. But if you want to find passion and purpose, instead of actually looking for it in the one thing, look for it in the things that are outside what you're doing already. Look for it outside your vehicle. Because once you actually start to discover some of the things you enjoy doing, what you'll do is the opportunities to actually create that time and the money will will start to appear. And the way this works is because I often talk about chase the fulfillment, not the figure. And what this simply means is, and I've done this so many times with clients, with friends, family over the past couple of years, is that if you want more holidays, if you want more free time, and you build a picture up of exactly what it is you actually want to achieve, where you want to go, what you would do with it. Sometimes for me, it's been training courses. 2 years ago for me, it was like I wanted £9,000 to go on these 2 courses last year, and at the time I was 60 grand in debt, and I had no idea. But for me, that was something I would really enjoy doing. I love going to these events, and learning and meeting like-minded people and stuff like that. Being around that energy is just amazing. So for me, it was like I'm 60 grand in debt. I need to find a way that I'm not working 14 hours a day in 4 months' time before my daughter starts school. Otherwise, I'm going to miss all the sports days, all the events. I was at an assembly last week. It was just amazing. Christmas plays coming up soon. But what I started to do is go, what is it I actually want? So for me, go to these events, be able to pick my daughter up from school. And what happens is something magical happens. When you actually chase the fulfillment in terms of what is it you actually want to do. If fulfillment's not on your radar right now, but maybe a bit of free time is, not enough. Free time isn't emotion. You'll go after the emotion. So think to yourself, what is it would actually make me happy? What is it I actually enjoy doing? And actually write those things down. You'll start to actually see opportunities to create that. And what happens is when you actually look for how you can get passion and purpose in everything you do, or a lot more of what you do outside your vehicle. If right now you're locked into a career, you're locked into a business, or you feel, I don't know, maybe even depression or anything like that, you're feeling a little bit low, with no hope of being able to escape that vehicle at the moment, that's fine. Because while ever you're staring at that problem, it'll just get bigger. Simply take a step back and say, right, how am I feeling right now? Maybe it's a little bit lost, a bit confused, a bit unsatisfied with how things are. Okay, how do I want to feel? What's your end in mind? Look at that and go, right, if I want to feel certain, if I want to feel happy more often, if I want more energy, just write those 3 emotions down and then say to yourselves, what experiences would give me those things? And as soon as you write them down, your mind, I'm not kidding you, it's literally like flicking a switch, you'll start to see the opportunity to create that. And I've done this with quite a few people, and sometimes it takes quite a while for people to grasp this, and it's only recently I'm probably getting better explaining it to some people, but certainly people that have been following me for a while now, 6 to 9 months even sometimes, people have clicked and they've gone, I get what you mean now. If I look for the things I enjoy doing first, before I look for the opportunity to create them, in essence, discover what the what is before you discover the how, everything else starts to flow. So say, don't worry about finding your passion, don't worry about finding your purpose, and if you are on Tinder, don't come to me for advice because it's clearly not my strong point. And the one thing I did learn was that, sometimes there are many different environments where you can help people. And I would say, from my own realisation over the past few years, is that helping people is probably one of the most selfish things we can do, because it's so fulfilling. It's ridiculous. Everybody wants to feel needed, and when we feel needed and we're helping somebody else, it feels great. But there's certain environments when it's probably not that good, and probably being on Tinder, and as Alex said, I never swipe left. I don't even know which does which actually, left or right. It's been that long. Is not the environment, but which is why I do what these are now. So it gives people that option to what's Darren put here. Been there, done that, hard work, but loving it. Thanks guys. Thanks so much for comments, guys. This is great today. Seeing there's a good few people coming on, engaging, what have you. And if anyone's got any questions or any topics you want me to talk about, then do so, because I don't want to just ramble on. I want to find out what it is, where you're at in your journey right now. But what I will say is, quite often, it's not what we want right now that's actually really what we want. There's another level, and when you get to that other level, you create a level of desire and resourcefulness like you would never ever experience, which is why I do what I do nowadays, just because I don't want anybody to get to that stage where 12 months, 3, 5, 10 years down the line, they look back and think, do you know what, I actually wish I started doing that a bit sooner. Because sometimes, the biggest thing that we need to fear in life is regret. That's not scaremongering, that's just fact. And I think if we can all just start with a bit of an end in mind, look at how we can find passion and purpose in more of what we do as opposed to the ultimate one thing, then everything starts to change. The whole game starts to change. So I think this has probably been long enough for tonight, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this. I haven't managed to keep up with the comments that well because I don't want to put off or get distracted, because I sometimes go off on a complete tangent. But I've enjoyed doing this. I'm loving doing these. It's great to see the engagement and so many of you on here. So I really appreciate that. And it's only Tuesday, so I hope you're having a great week. And one little tip I'd love to give you is, I asked yesterday to people on a scale of 1 to 100. I use that because at least by saying to you with a score, how was your day yesterday? Some of you said 38, some of you 27. I'd love to know where these numbers come from. And one girl said 28, I think it was Alicia said 98, fantastic. What I'd say to you is, it's 3 days left of this week, working week. Hopefully you're not working the weekend. What is one thing you could do this week to just give yourself a little bit more passion, not purpose, but just something a bit more passion? What is one thing that you could do, even if it took 15, 20 minutes, to make tomorrow another 10 points higher? And if you start to do it every single day, you'll start to see a massive shift. As soon as you actually know what it is you want to feel, how you can create that experience, you'll start to see opportunities automatically. You don't even need to look for them, they're already there. Thanks so much, guys. If you know anybody at all that benefit from this video, please share, please like, and like I said, any questions, anybody wants to do it anonymously, you know, not wanting to sort of engage too much on my posts, maybe sometimes people are a bit shy on what I'm talking about, just send me a message. But thanks so much, guys, and have a great evening. Take care. See you later.